Have you ever worked for someone who trusted you until one day they didn't? One conversation, one meeting, one little small change. Suddenly, you're questioning everything. The biggest danger isn't working for a micromanager, it's actually becoming one. Family, let's talk about it. Imagine you've been leading a project for several months. Things are going exceptionally well. Your one on ones are productive. Your status reports are accurate. Your stakeholders are informed. Risk, well, yeah, of course, they're being managed. Your manager rarely has to step in because you have earned their trust. Life feels good. Then something changes. During your next one on one, your manager says, I'd like to make a few adjustments to how we're communicating project updates. You didn't think much of it. You're adaptable. Change is part of this thing that I love that I hope you fall in love with called project management. So you smile. Absolutely, no problem. Then your manager continues. I also like you to invite me to all your project meetings. You can mark me just as optional. Okay, that's a little different. Then another request. If anything comes up, I want to know immediately. Then another one. CC me on all important communications. Individually? No, none of these requests really seem unreasonable. But now your mind starts racing. Did I miss something? Did I make a bad judgment? Did I lose their trust? And then finally you ask, can I ask you something? Did I do something wrong? Your manager smiles. Not at all. You've done a great job. I just want to make sure that I can support you. The meeting ends. Your confidence doesn't. Yesterday, you felt trusted. Today, you feel supervised for weeks. You're trying to convince yourself you're imagining things, but then you notice something. Every decision requires another conversation. Every stakeholder email includes your manager. Every meeting has another attendee. Every problem gets escalated immediately. Then one day, you finally learn what happened. Another project manager, another project, a major issue wasn't actually escalated. The project manager tried to handle it alone. Executive leadership found out before your manager did. Your manager was blindsided. Trust, well, was completely broken. Suddenly, everything makes sense. Your manager isn't trying to control you. Your manager is trying to prevent history from repeating itself. But then something even more dangerous happens. Months later, you're leading your own project team. Without thinking, you hear yourself saying, invite me to every meeting, CC me on every communication, bring every issue to me first. You stop. Hmm. Because you've heard these same words before. They aren't yours, they're borrowed. That's when I realized something. Micromanagement spreads the same way organizational culture spread. Not because people want to control others, because pressure changes behavior, fear changes behavior, broken trust changes behavior, well, and if we're not intentional, we'll inherit leadership habits we once promised ourselves will never repeat. Here's a reflection. Today isn't about blaming managers. No. Most micromanagers just don't wake up wanting to make someone's job harder. Many are carrying pressures you never see. An executive surprised them, a customer escalated, a project failed, someone hid a problem. So they respond the only way they know how, by increasing control. But if we're not careful, we can adopt those same leadership styles. So today, I don't want to teach you how to survive micromanagement. I want to make sure you never become one. Principle number one, the biggest danger isn't working for a micromanager, it's actually becoming one. Leadership is often caught before it's taught. Every leader leaves fingerprints on the people they lead. Some fingerprints build confidence. Others, well, it just builds fear. When pressure shows up, most leaders don't invent a new leadership style. They default to the one they've experienced the most. Here's the lesson, family. Your leadership style isn't created during calm projects. It is actually revealed during difficult ones. Here's two actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. First, write down three leadership behaviors you experienced that made you a better project manager. Protect those, build on those. Second, write down three leadership behaviors you promised, and I mean you pinky swore yourself you'll never repeat again. I want you to keep that list close because pressure has a way of making us forget our promises. Here's my professional advice. I've learned that the pressure of leadership doesn't create your leadership style. It reveals the one you've been practicing. If you don't intentionally decide what kind of leader you want to become, Your past managers will decide for you. But here's what changed everything for me. Once I understood why people micromanage, seeing bad leaders, I start seeing leaders who've been hurt by broken trust. That doesn't excuse micromanagement, not at all, but it does explain it. Principle number two, micromanagement is usually the symptom, not the disease. Oh, I like that, family, because most micromanagement, it begins with fear. Fear of another missed deadline, fear of another executive surprise, fear of losing the thing they built their career on, which is credibility, fear of being blamed. Control becomes their coping mechanism. The problem? Control creates visibility. It does not, and I'll repeat, it does not create trust. In fact, the more every decision requires your approval, the less ownership your team develops. Here's a lesson, family, I want you to think about. You cannot build an accountable team while teaching people to wait for your permission. I will say that again. You cannot build an accountable team while teaching people to wait for your permission. Here's two actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. The next time you're tempted to solve a problem yourself, ask your team member this question. What do you recommend? Developing their thinking before giving your answer. Second, when someone brings you a problem, resist becoming the answer. Become the coach, become the trainer, become the mentor. Ask questions that help them arrive at the solution. Here's my professional advice. Some of the strongest project managers I've worked with weren't the ones who had all the answers. They were the ones who developed teams that could solve the problems without them. Now, to me, that's what you call real leadership. So, if surveillance isn't the answer, what is it? The answer is in building trust in a way that doesn't rely on constant oversight. Principle number three, trust is built through system, not surveillance. Oh man, I love this, family, because great project managers don't eliminate uncertainty by watching everyone. They reduce uncertainty by creating systems that surface problems earlier. That's why we have communication plans, raid logs, weekly status report, risk reviews, decision logs, escalation paths, stakeholder meetings. You kind of get where I'm going. These aren't administrative exercises. They're trust building systems. When everyone knows how information flows, leaders don't have to chase updates. The process brings the updates to them. Here's the lesson I want you to think about, family. Strong systems create confident leaders. Weak system creates anxiety within leaders. Here's two actionable tips I'd love for you to experiment with. First, review your communication plan. If people don't know when and how to communicate issue, they'll either escalate everything or nothing at all. Second, create clear escalation criteria. Define what should be escalated, when, and to whom. And this is the biggest one, family. Clarity reduces anxiety for everyone involved. Here's my professional advice, family. Documentation doesn't replace leadership. Good documentation protects trust. When expectations are clear, leaders don't have to guess, and teams don't have to wonder. Here's a final reflection, family. One day, someone will describe what it's like working with you. They won't remember every project. They won't even remember every dashboard, and they definitely won't remember every schedule, but they will remember how you made them feel. Did they feel trusted? Did they feel capable? Did they leave your projects more confident than they arrived? Or did they spend every day waiting for your approval before making a decision? Because every project eventually ends. Your leadership reputation doesn't. So if you're working for a micromanager today, learn from them. Understand where their behavior comes from. Have empathy for the pressure they're carrying, but don't let that pressure become your leadership identity. Break the cycle. Become the leader you wish you had. Here's my closing thoughts, family. If this episode challenged the way you think about leadership, share it with another project manager who needs to hear it, because project management isn't just about delivering successful projects. It's about developing leaders that want to follow. Here at the Project Management Lab, project managers aren't born, they're actually built. And remember, sets and reps beat talent when talent doesn't do the reps. If you're new to the episode, I go by the name of ED. For all you smart and intelligent folks out there, that just simply means Ed. Until next time.